University, I went down to my local job centre looking for support, so I put on my shirt and tie, went down, took my CV, and then was welcomed by a job centre which didn't really understand sight loss, I suppose, and the first thing they saw was, well, my disability really, not my ability, as some may put it. So they instantly started talking about the benefits I could be applying for or eligible for, rather than actually taking interest in what I could be doing. So as you can imagine, that was quite disheartening really and frustrating. And again, I started to realise this was going to be quite a troubling time really, trying to find work, and challenges were going to be coming quite often, in which they did so. So after I'd left the job centre, I started to seek out additional support, so looked for my local society at the time, seeing what support they could offer. But I was continually, consistently applying for jobs on a daily basis, and I would say after I graduated from university, I probably applied for probably over 200 jobs. I was probably shortlisted for around 10 positions. At the time there used to be a scheme to replace now, but called the two-tick accreditation. Some of the room may remember it. It was whether if an employer had signed up to it, they would guarantee an interview to anyone, any disabled candidate who met the person specification. I really don't think it was very well enforced, because I pretty much met the criteria for many roles. But the challenges came as well when I even got to interview, because I did have some work experience, but it was very limited, as I mentioned earlier, in terms of voluntarily. So I didn't necessarily have the experience to draw upon in interviews. However, I was fortunate enough to get a position on a graduate scheme with my local authority. But again, that was challenging as well enough, because they didn't even actually shortlist me to start with, so I actually had to advocate for myself and fight for that. I know we talked earlier about how important it is for advocacy for all people with sight loss to do that, and I suppose I had to learn that very young, to advocate for myself and understand my rights and what I was entitled to. I was fortunate enough though to get that position. I had a couple of promotions whilst in local government. And then I know there's a couple of people in the room who do work for local authorities, so I might want to say. But I got to the stage where I did start to think, in actual fact, this is all about saving money, and I wanted to do something that I was quite passionate about and helping people. So around 10 years ago now, I started to look for other opportunities and started to look at the voluntary sector, because I thought I could actually do something maybe a bit cliche, but I wanted to, I suppose, give something back and help people on the way. So I was fortunate enough to get a position at the RNIB, looking at improving rehabilitation services, so Department of Health funded project which looked at raising the standards of vision rehab, many of which many people in the room will probably access rehab services when they lose their sight or when their sight deteriorates. So it was something I was very passionate about, and trying to improve the services that are offered for people. I understand there are constraints, budgetary constraints on local government, but yeah, just giving them some quality standards they could apply to, that people could benefit from, I really enjoyed that role. I then moved on from there to work at TBT, where I am now. So around 6 years ago, I took a role in our engagement department, and I'll touch upon that shortly in terms of what we offer. But that was because I was very passionate about improving local services for blind and farsighted people. In different areas, so whether that be in transport, in sport and leisure, in employment as well, in retail, because I recognise the services that I want to access are exactly the same as many people with sight loss in the community as well. So working with the organisations to improve them and make them as accessible as possible. So I thoroughly enjoyed that role. And then a couple of years ago, I was asked internally to look at reviewing all of our services that we offer. So doing a full evaluation, and as I mentioned as well, my lived experience of employment and I recognising the importance and the benefits that employment can provide, I took a vested interest in that area of the work that we do. Alongside the employment work I do as well, I went down to part-time hours a couple of years ago. So alongside that, my passions, I just thought I'd make a quick note. So my children are a passion. I think I get a hit in the head by them if I didn't say that. Other passions of mine, Liverpool Football Club, might get booed, but there we are. Also, I do like a good pint of Guinness, something I'm very partial to, so hopefully I could have a pint before I leave from Southampton. And then also as well, again this is linked to my work in the engagement department as well. It's something that many people probably come across on a daily basis as well. I have a passion for the law because I want to, I suppose, I see lots of injustices both personally and as a sector and as a community and just in society in general. So I actually retrained in law and I'm currently studying to become a barrister in the next couple of years. So that's me, a bit about me. So that's the boring stuff out of the way. Let's get more into what TBT do more broadly. So we have three key themes really, what we're trying to achieve at TBT, and they're based around education, employment and engagement. So if I touch briefly upon education first, so our education services are looking to support children, young people, their families, carers and guardians who are in education, trying to help them to navigate and advocate for them to improve their services. So whether that be they're at college or university or in education, secondary education, if they're having trouble, they can get in touch with the service and they can help them. We also do a lot of training with professionals, so those careers advisors that I talked about earlier, in education providers, where we support them and train them. We also do a lot of work around policy, so influencing MPs, government ministers, trying to influence legislation as well, with a topic around, with an emphasis around vision impairment and young people as well, ensuring that they are considered during any legislative changes. Our engagement work, as I touched on earlier, is delivered through our sightless councils across the UK. So we have around 25 working all over the country. They are driven by local people with sight loss in their local areas trying to improve the services. Employment work, again, I suppose it does what it says in the tin. We're all about trying to support people with sight loss getting into employment. Alongside that, we do deliver training sessions or awareness sessions with employers around vision impairments. We provide assisted tech training as well for those looking to gain work. And do a bit around policy influence as well. So we set up panels around access to work or committees trying to improve that service as well. We also have a public affairs and campaigns team, so that they obviously look to influence things at the national level, so whether that be at local or national government, so things around accessible voting, e-scooters, we've got a campaign at the moment, Cut It Back, so for many of you like me in the room that probably walk into overhanging branches that get really annoying and want to campaign around that, that's one thing that we're currently campaigning around as an organisation. And then last but not least, we do also, we are a grant funding organisation, so we give grants to local sightless organisations to improve services where they are as well, so funding projects like that. We probably do a lot more, and I will get told off by my director or chief exec, but I can't remember everything. So if you want to know more, please do look on our website, and you can find out more. I'll send you links afterwards. So I suppose I'm now going to talk about the internship programme, so what it's all about. Going to break it down to three areas really. So why it was first established, how it's evolved over time, what interns receive as part of the programme, what we're currently up to, and our future plans. If you just bear with me, my laptop stops working. I've been speaking for that long that it's logged out, so one second. Here we go. So yeah, I want to just give some context really around the current employment landscape. Now, some of you in the room may be aware of it, but for those that aren't, bear with me. So nationally, the general population, so those with sight, there's around 85% of those that are currently in employment. If we look at the general disabled population, that's at around over 53% nationally. When we compare that to people living with sight loss, so the registered blind or partially sighted people, so those of us that are in the room, that's only 27% of us that are in employment. So as you can see, that's 3 in 4 pretty much that aren't in employment, which is a pretty shocking statistic to be honest, and that hasn't significantly changed for probably well over 20 to 30 years. It may have gone slightly